the Wildcats win the toss and have elected to defer. So the Gamecocks, of course, taking the football. We'll start our action at Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington, Kentucky. Derek Watson will take that past the 20-yard line. He gets up the field. So Derek Watson brought down on the play, but not before having a very fine return. It's a cool evening in Lexington, Kentucky. Temperatures at game time around 45 degrees. There's your starting lineup. Carlos Spikes starting in place of Atkinson, having a good week of practice. And Travell Wharton, who Coach Holt says is the best player right now on his offensive line, gets the start again. There's Phil Petty. Gamecocks will start in the I formation with Andrew Pinnock there as well. And Derek Watson gets the call, but won't get much on that play. Rushes for just 1 yard.
Ty, one thing I think is very interesting, we've been seeing the Gamecocks in the spread offense to come out and see Petty up underneath the center taking a snap.
Yep, good change of pace for the Gamecocks. And they'll stay in it. Two receivers to the left, and they'll go toss sweep against the smaller Kentucky team. And a good block by Andrew Pinnock will free up Derek Watson for 3 yards on the play to the South Carolina 24-yard line.
Speaking of this Kentucky defense, Todd, I mean, we mentioned earlier in the show how they just changed their defense this week. Obviously, they got the offense to score points, but when you can't stop people on defense, it makes it very hard.
No question about it. So they go shotgun on third down, bring pressure, but Phil Petty steps up and throws to our senior, Jamel Kelly, on a 14-yard completion to the South Carolina 38. That's a first down and a very nicely executed play here in the first series.
That's just one of those routes that Kelly runs well. He runs a skinny post, those slant routes, he can do that. He's not that fast, but he has the size, the height, and that big wide body that he can shield off the defenders.
Well, the black flag defense, as they like to call themselves at Kentucky, showed some pressure but did not get to Phil Petty. So now here's back to something we've seen before. That's Derek Watson on the draw play up the middle out of the spread, and he's going to pick up 12 yards to the 50-yard line. So a diverse series of plays here as the Gamecocks kick off this ball game.
Well, you got to. Now you're hitting that 5th, 6th game, Todd. People have had a chance to watch film, to look at things you're doing on offense. So it's crucial to go in and start throwing some little change-ups in there.
And look at this, too. Kentucky showing press coverage on the outside. Not seeing a lot this time, and Phil Petty's going to be sacked. He's sacked on the play for a 2-yard loss by Matt Leo. Leo, of course, an outstanding player there. Dennis Johnson, the other defensive end for Kentucky, is injured and out of this ball game. So Phil Petty getting sacked on a 1st and 10 play. It'll bring up 2nd and 12. There's a look at Leo's numbers on the year. There's that same press coverage on all 3 receivers, 1 linebacker. Phil Petty trips to the right side, and he sprints to the right side and throws under pressure again. It'll be incomplete. Intended for Brian Scott. So Phil Petty now with a sack and an incomplete pass, and UK showing a little bit more pressure, Corey.
A lot of pressure there. Anytime you go to an empty backfield, and that's basically when there's no back to the backfield to a spread, 5 wide receiver set, obviously the pressure's going to come, and you got to get the ball off quick because they have nobody in that backfield to protect Petty.
Very solid numbers of Phil Petty. 54% completions. He was 44% for the Gamecocks last year. 3rd and 12. Pass to the right side on the slant route, and Carlos Spikes is hit, and there is a flag. It looked early. The ball was thrown high by Phil Petty, but certainly catchable, and Carlos Spikes appears to be the recipient of an interference call.
It's pretty close right there, Todd. I mean, it's good coverage, good effort by Spikes, but obviously the officials saw something different. Let's look here in the replay. You can see here the ball's coming in.
That's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell from that angle, and you can see here.
Oh yeah,
it is pass interference. You can see there he just got there a little early, but a good effort on his part. First down for the Gamecocks.
I know that's hard for you as a defensive player to ever admit interference was happened on a play. Corey called it 1st and 10 now for the Gamecocks on a solid drive to begin with. Now Derek Watson with a little delay run, and he gets up the middle again for 8 yards. Derek, the Williamston, South Carolina sophomore, ran for 114 yards versus Georgia, 215 versus EMU, Eastern Michigan, and has gained -1 yards versus Mississippi State and only 42 yards versus Alabama. So he deeply needs to get back on track tonight versus Kentucky.
You're right, Todd. This is a game that he can get back on track. We mentioned the Kentucky defense haven't been very solid during the course of the year, and it's very crucial that they get him going.
Phil Petty now checking on a 2nd and 2 as he moves Derek Watson. So they have 3 receivers and the back on the right side, and they'll look to the right side and throw a slant route that Brian Scott does a beautiful job of just bringing those big arms and hands up and swiping that thing down to his chest. Nice catch.
Really is. You know, we talked about Kelly. Well, Scott is in that same mold, Todd. 6'3", 6'4", big body guy, not that fast. But yet, when you got smaller cornerbacks, you can complete those passes all day, especially when you don't have linebackers who's dropping underneath to try to defend that.
Phil Petty ranks 7th in the SEC in total offense with a per-game average of 198.2. The leading receivers for him are Kelly, Watson, Brewer, Atkinson, and Alexander. Now option play to the right side, and the Gamecocks will get very little, if anything, on the play. That's a loss of 2 yards, in fact.
Well, Todd, that's just not Petty's forte. I mean, you know, he's a drop-back quarterback. Yeah, he can run a little bit, but to me, he's definitely not an option quarterback because right there, he should have pitched the ball to Watson.
2nd and 12, that brings up the option play that's unsuccessful, and Phil Petty will go back to work. And the spread formation, he again slips Watson to the right, but he checked that. He's got him to the left now. 2nd and 12, they go with the inside reverse to Brewer, and the black flag defense is not fooled at all as Robertson, Dwayne Robertson, on the tackle. You see his numbers on the year. How about this? Kentucky Wildcats 2nd in the conference in sacks. This is a very poor defense. Screen play underneath now on a 3rd down. It will bring up nothing for the Gamecocks as they tried to throw the underneath receiver screen. It appears it will stop this drive with 9:26 to go in the first quarter. But as I mentioned, Kentucky, Corey, 2nd in the conference in sacks, but they're still, in the last 3 ball games, been giving up 45 points a game. That's not something that usually goes together.
Well, you know, obviously that tells me one thing, that whoever they play against have been throwing the ball a great deal. And that's why these guys are, you know, on the top in sacks.
So Reed Bethea comes on for his attempt at a field goal to start this game, and it's good. So a very solid job by the Gamecock offense, moving it down there. It's 3-0. Bethea is 9 of 14 on the year. He's 1 from 1 inside the 20. His problem has been, though, he's only 4 of 7 from the 20 to 29 yard line. So a short kickoff now for the Gamecocks. Forced to the UK 22 yard line. Edgar Gant returned at 10 yards, and Rashad Faison on the stop. Speaking of which, let's look at our defense. There's Rashad Faison, 2nd leading tackler on the team. And Andre Offing leading the Gamecocks in tackling. Now here's our first look at Jared Lorenzen. And no, that's not a tackle, ladies and gentlemen. That's one of the league's leading quarterbacks. And Kentucky on a running play now to start the drive. Martez Johnson rushes for a 1 yard loss. And as soon as we call him out on the special teams, Rashad Faison with the stop there.
Faison has just been playing marvelous all year. He's a guy that got in that sort of bandit, I call that position, where he's allowed to make plays. And a lot of times, as I've watched this year, he doesn't really even get blocked. And he has the speed to run plays down on the opposite side and take on plays coming towards him.
Look at the movement here of the Gamecock defense and Kentucky. As Lorenzen pump fakes, and now is going to go down the middle of the field, and that's complete. Jared Lorenzen, pass complete to Derek Smith for 31 yards. And those two broke all kinds of records in Kentucky when they played high school football together. Lorenzen broke national records, did the big left-hander who was 13 pounds at birth. It was a shot at Hal Mumme, who orchestrates this offense on the sideline. You'll see all kinds of things from them. And they go back to the slide play. And there's Chad Scott, an incredible freshman who is really been the talk of the league so far as backs and young backs are concerned. He's just purely a scat back, about 5'9", and if he's a $150, then I'm under 200 pounds, and you know that's not the case. He's a light guy, but he continues to pick up big yards for Kentucky.
Well, he's one of those guys, Todd, who can fit anywhere on the offensive side of the ball. You can line him up at running back in the slot, put him out receiver. So he's a guy, they just want to get the ball in his hands. He's fast, he's quick, and he's explosive. And so therefore he put up big numbers.
1st and 10 now, and they'll go back to the funnel screen to the outside as 2 receivers try to block. The pass is complete to Abney for 8 yards. So there you have it. Corey, there doesn't look much to it now. You throw out there to your slot receiver who gets 2 blocks from his receivers, and next thing you know, they got 8 yards.
I mean, these guys just slowly move the ball down the field. Not very flashy, but they're doing things that's working. You can see there Jared Lorenzen's numbers so far. Not just high in the SEC, but 2nd in the country, Todd.
Yep, 11 TDs as well. That's 2nd in the conference. He has thrown 9 picks. Let's hope the Gamecocks get a couple of them now. So that's a 2nd and 2 now after the wide receiver screen. Lorenzen goes back to work with Scott, and he's wide open down the left sideline, and now he's inside the 10-yard line. So the Kentucky Wildcats on offense bringing out a plethora of plays here, and all of them are successful as they've got what appears to be an easy drive going with 6:22 to go, 6:21 to go in the first quarter. There's Hal Mumme.
I tell you, that Hal Mumme's got to be one of the coolest, hippest coaches there is in the country. I mean, he just laid back, not flashy, always sweating, hair wet.
He's something now. He's sunglasses. He's from Tarleton State, a 1975 graduate. So at 1st and goal now, Kentucky will bring receiver in motion. It's zag motion as he goes back, 2 receivers each side, and they throw a little quick shuffle pass. And again, it's not really a shuffle pass. It's a swing route that's about 2 yards. Essentially, that's a tall sweep.
That's all that is. I mean, nothing fancy there. Just throw the ball out to Scott and let him get down the field. And this is just a play that linebackers got to make. You can see here, motion the tight end over, and all he's doing is looking to seal. Look at your linemen. They're down the field blocking. A little bit of holding there. But, that's nothing fancy. Your linebackers got to read that play and react to a tie and get to the football.
Forces you to go sideline to sideline as a defender. That's so tough. So now, UK at 2nd and goal. Lorenzen will go under the center, and he'll score easily. I'm not sure he was touched. So the 285-pound quarterback takes it himself and scores. And just like that, it's 6-3 Kentucky.
Well, the thing with Lorenzen, Todd, is that if he's watching Dante Culpepper, who I had a chance to play with, who's 265 pounds, but this guy has agility and can run. But this gives a guy like Lorenzen hope, because maybe this is the new turn. Maybe it's time for 280-pound quarterbacks. I don't know. But they're starting to surface.
Not sure Lorenzen is quite as agile as Culpepper, who I thought was incredible. So Seth Hampton's extra point attempt is good, and that means it's 7-6 as Antoine Neesmith appears to have lost that ball in the lights as it came down on his face mask. He attempted the kick return, but luckily for Carolina, it goes out of bounds. So Carolina will start again, trailing 3-6. This series is 6-4-1. In Lexington, it's 3-3. Last season, UK beat the Gamecocks 30-10. Kentucky won the last 2 ball games. We mentioned Hal Mumme. He's 20-20 in 4 years at UK, but has taken his team to 2 back-to-back bowls. So Phil Petty gets another start now. They bring pressure, but he goes across the middle, and Brian Scott has got his 2nd catch of the night. Oh, and it's incomplete. He laid out for it, Corey, but couldn't bring it in.
Just a great effort. Great throw by Petty. Put the ball where he had to put it, stop it from getting picked off. And, he makes a great effort catching the ball. Just couldn't hold on to it right there, Todd.
Well, a nice throw by Phil. That's one Brian will generally break in. You see his numbers so far. Very admirable for Phil. He'll take that kind of percentage all night. So that brings up 2nd and 10. And look at that stacked defense. All those guys at the line of scrimmage, and Derek Watson breaks the line of scrimmage, and he's going to get more. He's past the 40-yard line, picks up the 1st down, and Corey, that's a problem when you bring pressure up to the line.
It is, especially off the corners. I mean, they stacked the line and brought the blitz. And what usually hurts is blitz is a draw play. So it's a great call on Skip Holtz's part. And Watson just does the rest. He makes guys miss, gets on the corner, gets the gain about 13 yards. They can see in the replay. Look at the middle of the defense right here. They seal the tackles inside, and I watch Watson. It's all about vision thereafter. And he just makes guys miss. You got the receivers who's blocking well down the field. Almost gets the clip there, but he pulls off. And the result of that, Todd, is a 13-yard gain.
Nice block by Cedric Williams there to get the one linebacker that's in the middle of the field for Kentucky. So they go back to the same play, and this time Derek Watson will be wrapped up by Richard Harden of the Black Flag defense. Of course, Derek leads the rushing attack, averaging 92.6 yards per game. He also leads the team in scoring with 7 touchdowns, which is tied for second most in the SEC. Derek Watson is a star of the Gamecocks and of the SEC.
Look at the average there, 5.8 yards per rush, 7 touchdowns. Those are just phenomenal numbers for a young guy from South Carolina.
Slightly different than last year. Here's pressure by Kentucky. Can Phil Petty get it away? They've got the screen set up to Watson. He's got a block. Scott Brown can't get to him. And Derek is hit hard, but still a well-executed screen. That's something that the Gamecocks have not done well in the first couple of ball games.
They haven't. I mean, they've been stopped usually when they try to run this play. But Petty does a great job of holding off, and then getting the ball to Watson. And then he runs down the field for a 12-yard gain. So the Gamecocks offense is very efficient thus far, Todd, and seem to have a pretty good game plan.
Yeah, both offenses moving the ball fairly consistently. That's a 1st and 10 after the screen play. Derek Watson will slip out, but it won't matter because there's no backs in the backfield. Look at Phil Petty still looking for the signal from the sideline. 6 seconds to go on the clock. Will they get it off? And they do so. Now Phil throws the fade route. It's to Brian Scott. Caught! And the defender stops, and Brian Scott will score. So just like that, one of the strangest plays I've ever seen from a defender. Kentucky with that press coverage, and Phil Petty throws the fade route there, and Johnson just stops for Kentucky. I don't know what he was thinking.
I don't know what he was thinking either, because obviously he must thought he dropped the ball. Because what a great checkoff at the line of scrimmage by Petty. He saw something he liked right there. Gave the signal, checked off, and threw the ball down the field for a touchdown.
44 yards on the play from Brian Scott, basically without coverage or without attempt to tackle. And Reed Bethea will come back on for his extra point attempt, and it's good. So we've got a lot of scoring going on so far in the first quarter, and here's a good look at the play.
That's just a great throw. Look at the ball. Just sails right where it needs to be, right over the left shoulder where he wants it. And I just don't understand what Johnson is thinking about right there. I mean, I hate to take away from the replay of the Gamecocks, but their coordinator is going to be just screaming on the sideline. He just stopped. He gave up on the play. And that's something you just don't do.
Well, it's one thing if you just don't see the pass and it's completed, but surely he was watching either the ball coming in or Brian Scott and saw it land in his hands. I don't know what that was. So, of course, we'll kick off. We don't care. It's 10-7, and the Gamecocks lead this ball game. They set up a left return, and they've got some room to the sideline there. And Course is going to have to come over as the Kentucky player Shanklin returns at 28 yards. Marco Hutchinson as well. So Lorenzen now will have to come back and respond for the Wildcats. And believe me, they can do so. He leads the nation in total offense, averaging 362 yards per game. Has completed 85 of 139 passes, and we already seen the 1,043 yards.
Look at Scott on the sideline. Usually when a guy makes a big play, he knows that camera's on him, and he's going to be like, saying, "What's up, Mom? You see my boy? You see, I'm your boy."
1st and 10 now for Lorenzen. He goes back to work when a wide open receiver, Shanklin, underneath there. So Shanklin on the zone coverage is going to pick up 6 yards on the play. Andre Offing on the tackle. Andre, we mentioned, our leading tackler, 42 total tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, 2 pass breakups. And he'll need another one here, but he won't need it. And Scott gets the handoff, and Shannon Wadley, like a blur, the body bag comes in there for the tackle for a loss.
Well, if anybody can put a 285-pound quarterback on his back, that guy will be the body bag, Shannon Wiley, because he definitely knows how to deliver a blow on somebody. Look at him run off the field.
And that does not feel good for Chad Scott, who does not have much cornbread, as I like to say, to back up those big hits. So a 3rd and 8 now. Clearly he's going to be in the gun, and the big man is. Lorenzen barking out the signals of play clock running down, but they get the play off. Lorenzen moving. He's under pressure by Kalimba Edwards and throws it to Scott, but it's likely thrown away on purpose. So Lorenzen finally under some pressure by Kalimba Edwards. And boy, were there a lot of fingers pointed at Kalimba this week saying, we have got to get some better pass rush.
Yeah, well, he's a guy, you know, I mentioned he has to play better. We don't call his name a lot. As you can see here, he must have heard what people were saying about him. He's a big guy. He's strong, 6'6". You can see they're very ripped and can run. So there's no reason that Todd, he can't take advantage of opposing offensive tackles.
If we can get pressure with just our front 4 on most occasions, that will make that great Charlie Strong defense even better. Now, Kentucky, who likes to punt away and to the sideline, does so. That's about as ugly as it gets, but it's 40 yards on the play, and it's out of the South Carolina 23-yard line, and Phil Petty will take over with a 3-point lead. This is Todd Ellis along with Corey Miller. You're in the first quarter of Carolina versus Kentucky on South Carolina ETV, and a fumble. Derek Watson can't get a hold of it. Can anybody? As it looks like the ball was greased up, and I think we're going to get a South Carolina recovery there, and we do so. Laurel Johnson, thank goodness, jumps on the football. So Derek Watson, who's had his fumble problems in the last couple of ball games, puts another one on the ground.
Yeah, Derek just got to really protect the football, Todd, a little better. And sometimes, you know, you try to make things happen, you know, so much that you just really don't focus on tucking that ball away. And you can see there Lou and Buddy talking to him about holding on to that football.
So a 2nd and 10 now as the Gamecocks escape, giving them a great field position, and Petty throws the corner route to Brian Scott, and he's not going to drop this one. Beautifully executed corner flat combination there by Phil Petty and Brian Scott.
You just mentioned guys who talking about need to play better, Todd. You know, Kalimba Edwards on the side, on the defensive side of the ball. But I feel like Scott's another guy who had high expectations coming into the year, but hasn't performed up to those expectations thus far. But so far this game, he's coming on very well.
The Darlington, South Carolina native playing much better so far. And Phil Petty's going to run the football, bad ankle and all, after the Pinnock fake. So Brian Scott's catch was for 21 yards. That took it to the South Carolina 23-yard line. And Phil Petty rushes now for 2 yards. There's a good look at the offense and defensive staff. Skip Holtz there in the hat. Dave DeGuglielmo, one of the offensive line coaches. They're checking out the schemes of Kentucky. So John Gutekunst in the background there with the glasses on as the secondary coach. And I believe that was Dave Roberts as well of the Gamecock defensive staff. So Andrew Pinnock fumbles the football now, and that will not be recovered. So fumbleitis for the Gamecocks running backs continues. And Andrew Pinnock has struggled to get on track in the last 2 ball games. Coach Holtz does not like that as he has a word with Buddy Pugh.
Well, you know, it's not Buddy Pugh's fault. And usually the coach gets the blame. I mean, you know, you got to go to guys and say, look, you got to hold on to the football, especially on the road. We saw last week, this is the reason why they lost the football game last week, because of turnovers.
Lorenzen goes back to work now. Gamecocks sitting there with just that 3-point tenuous lead with 35 seconds to go in the first quarter. The last thing you want to do is give this Kentucky offense field position, which had just occurred on the South Carolina 48-yard line. That gain was 4 yards, brings up a 2nd and 6 now.
Just look at the size of Lorenzen's head. I mean, look at this guy. It's just unbelievable how big he is.
It's a double XL helmet. And Lorenzen, though, has got the arm, and he shows it there to the outside on a beautiful pass to Jonathan Martin, check that, to Bobby Blizzard. Jonathan Martin, of course, on the tackle for the Gamecocks. That's a pickup first and 10 play. We'll see Lorenzen go back to work with 26 seconds to go. Under pressure by Stamper. He throws to the outside to Scott, and Scott just drops it. I think Scott's been hit by Jonathan Martin early in this game and was looking for footsteps on that.
You can see that at the last minute he looked up and took his eyes off the football, and that's one reason he dropped it. Heard those footsteps, as Todd mentioned.
Lorenzen sacked 5 times last week, but this was a team that had only given up 4 sacks prior to that. They only have 1 senior offensive line, and look at the size of Lorenzen there. I don't think that's a flat jacket that he's wearing underneath. I think that's all Big Jared.
That's all cheesecake and ice cream and all those goodies in that tummy.
Second 10, and again we see the quick swing route, and Chad Scott again showing his talent. My goodness, it looked like he was driving the lane in basketball, just sidestepping defenders. The Gamecocks not tackling well on that play.
Yeah, that's a situation where they didn't make the tackle. Especially a little guy like that. You got to wrap him up because he's quick, he's elusive, and if you don't get him on that ground, he's going to make something happen.
And Scott will have a chance to make something happen again, but this time, Jonathan Morton again on the stop from his strong safety or outside linebacker position. But that's still down to the South Carolina 16-yard line as we end our first quarter. The Gamecocks ahead of the potent UK Wildcats 10-7. There's our stats. Look at that. The passes are exactly the same. Both quarterbacks 7 of 9. And the possession, though, USC well ahead.
Represented by June Mummy.
We hope you're enjoying the coverage of Carolina football on South Carolina ETV. If you are, make a call and show your support. 800-256-8535. Make a pledge to the South Carolina ETV Endowment for continuation of South Carolina football coverage on ETV.
Welcome back to Carolina football on South Carolina ETV. It's Carolina versus Kentucky, and a good look at Lou Holtz there. He does not like the cold weather, so he's bundled up pretty good in that ball game. Temperatures around 41, 42 degrees in the second half. And they go back to the running game now as they get inside the 15-yard line of South Carolina. Lou Holtz, of course, 29 years in the coaching profession, 220 wins, 107 losses, and 8 ties. Go back to Notre Dame, he was 100 wins, 30 losses, and 2 ties. Pretty good record. 3rd and 4 now, a crucial one for Carolina's defense. And they bring a little pressure, but they pick it up. They go to the outside and pick up the first down there. That's Martez Johnson for 9 yards down to the South Carolina 2-yard line. 1st and goal now for Kentucky. Again, it appears to be basically a very easy drive as they trail by 3 points.
I just don't know how you can give a guy that much room. You know, 3rd and 4, how can a guy be that open? I know you're playing zone, but somebody's got to be in that vicinity and to be able to make that play. That's just too much of a cushion.
So Lorenzen now will get in the shotgun where he ran the ball from the position last time, and he throws to the outside, and no, it's not complete as he went to Dougie Allen, but good coverage that time on the outside by Sheldon Brown. So that'll bring up a 2nd goal. Kentucky does not look to run again, but they do have 2 backs in the backfield. You see the numbers inside the 20, very efficient, and they'll go underneath, touchdown. Lorenzen on a little gray route to Neil Brown there for 2 yards, and they get a touchdown. So the Wildcats quickly back on top of this ball game, 13-10.
It's a great throw right there by Lorenzen, and that's just a situation where the defender let the receiver get inside of him. And when you're that close, watch the kick here.
Seth Hansen gets another extra point. He's 100% on the year. There's you get a look at Lorenzen and his crew.
When you're that close, tied to the goal line, you can't allow that receiver to get inside you because that's an easy touchdown, easy throw for you as a quarterback.
So Derek Watson will take it again. As usually avoids a couple defenders, and now he's got some room. I think I saw a flag on the play, but he's past the 30, past the 40, cuts back inside, and finally the Kentucky defense catches up with him. But that's why Derek Watson's 3rd in the conference in returning kicks. There is a penalty flag. Illegal block. I want to go back to what you said, though, Corey. The Gamecock linebackers, and will be holding. There's Ricky Good, referee on the play. The Gamecock linebackers, when they see that the quarterback has enough time, are they dropping too deep? Is that part of the problem? Is that why the guys underneath are open?
Too deep, way too deep, and they're not getting their reads on those back receivers. They got to sit in there, let them take them to the football. They just running up out there, and what happens, it creates a big cushion for the receiver.
You have to look and see what comes into your zone. So Phil Petty not wasting any time going back to the air to Corey Alexander. 13:15 to go in the second quarter. You see the score there, Kentucky 14-10. So the Gamecocks now, defense yielding 2 touchdowns. That makes it 8 on the entire season, only 10 points in the fourth quarter. In fact, USC has finished each half strongly defensively, allowing just 3 field goals and 1 touchdown in the second quarter, and a lone field goal and 1 touchdown in the fourth quarter. Phil Petty goes to Trevin Smith now into the ball game for the struggling, at least struggling fumble-wise, Andrew Pinnock and Derek Watson, but he'll get nothing on the play.
Well, Trevin Smith, a guy who had a pretty good game a couple weeks ago, running an 80-yard touchdown, but he's not Watson and Pinnock. You know, he's a guy who's young, who was moved over from the defensive side of the football, trying to get something done. I think you got to stick with your guns, Todd. Even though these guys may have had a fumble or two, but stay with them because they're great players.
3rd and 12 now. Let's see if the Gamecocks can respond. Still fairly deep in their territory. Phil Petty back to drop. Good coverage. Goes to the outside. He's got Kelly out there, but it's overthrown. So again, the Kentucky Wildcats playing that press coverage, but this time the fade route to the outside. The veteran from Greenville, South Carolina, is no good. So 12:28 to go. We're going to have to punt for the first time.
Just overthrew that ball right there, but Kelly was well covered also on that play. That would have been a tough ball to complete right there, Todd.
It's a good call, though, because there's very little risk to it. Either your guy's going to generally catch it or he'll try to break it up if the throw is decent. So Tyler Dean now will come on to punt, and you see there he's deep into Carolina territory, but he gets off a beauty. This is a boomer, and it's fair caught that time by Shanklin. 51 yards on the punt. So Tyler Dean doing his duty. You look at the numbers of Lorenzen, very solid. 9 of 12 for 96 yards. That's about his average. Now look at Lorenzen throw off his back foot down the middle. He's got a receiver, but it's just overthrown. So the big guy looks a little disappointed as he can't hit his receiver, Quentin McCord, who's burned the Gamecocks on a big reverse 2 years ago. Can't get his hands on that one.
Well, we talk about Lorenzen's size, Todd, but we haven't mentioned his arm strength. And right there you had a great look at it because this guy has an arm on him. He can sling that ball down the field, and he's very accurate throwing the football.
Looked like he really didn't even step into that one. Still let it sail. So look at the Gamecock defense shift when they go back to the running game, and Scott. And look at that, Scott. Fumble on the play. And there's also a flag. So let's check out, see what falls out from these conditions. It looks like they're signaling it'll be 3rd down, but let's check out the flag now. Scott recovers. And that's holding on UK. That'll be 10 yards on the play. Take it back to the 25-yard line now. UK is 9-0 under Hal Mumme when they score 40 points or more. They're about on that pace tonight. Gamecocks don't slow them down. 2nd and 20 now. 3-man rush. Backers into one gap, and something's going to go on there for one snap. Look at the nimble Lorenzen, who gets it to Scott, who makes the first guy miss. He gets finally wrapped up by Willie Alford. But there is a flag on the play, and it appeared that Shannon Wadley, Corey, got across the line of scrimmage.
You can see the Gamecocks was coming on a blitz, and Wadley just got a little bit too anxious, a little hard count by Lorenzen, and he jumps off sides.
And that'll be the case. It was Shannon Wadley, who, with his speed, really doesn't need a head start.
He doesn't, and that's the case where coach going to bring him on the sideline and say, son, hold your water.
Right.
One, don't show him the blitz. Just wait. You fast enough. to get the ball snapped, and then you go.
2nd and 15 now for the Wildcats, who pick up the 5 yards, of course. Again, showing a 3-man blitz. And again, the hard count by Lorenzen, but he's going to throw it. There's a flag, and he throws it out of bounds. So, man, you don't see that very often out of the shotgun, Corey. That's just a lack of discipline by Carolina's defense, which I didn't see an offensive player move, so I assume it's against the Gamecocks.
We'll see here. We'll get the call. It is 2 offsides in a row. I mean, this is just something you cannot do. And you're right, it's a lack of discipline. When you're a defensive lineman, you're a coach to watch the football, not to hear that quarterback barking out signals, because they're going to give you hard counts, especially if they thinking you're blitzing. So you got to really focus on the football at this point.
You can't see the quarterback's head when you're a defensive lineman and he's in the shotgun. Look at that play. Yeah, Rashad Faison sniffing out the funnel screen to the outside there.
Great play by Faison, and he reads it well, and he's fast enough, Todd, that he can split the blockers. They had 2 blockers out there for him, but he gets right between them and makes the play, because if he doesn't make the play, he was going to get 10, 15 yards before anybody tackled him.
That's Rashad working that film projector. He saw the tendencies when they get to trips and run a man out there. They run that screen. So Lorenzen now, plenty of time. Goes back to his lead player to the outside. It picks up a couple of yards as Bobby Blizzard again will just get 2 on the play.
The end of it with Phil Curry, Mike Golick, and Michelle Tafoya, Dave Barnett in Lexington. And a 4-1 South Carolina team trying to bounce back off a loss at Alabama last week, and Kentucky at 2-3 and 0-2 in SEC play. A much-needed win as far as they're concerned tonight. They have a 14-10 lead, but forced to punt for just the 2nd time in an offense-dominated first half. Business as usual in Lexington. Seth Hansen is on. And back deep, Ryan Brewer watches this one sail to a fair catch, which he fumbles and then jumps on it to 28. .36 yards on the punt by Hansen. When you come to Lexington in the 4th year of the Hal Mumme era, you know that the balls are going to be flying. And they have been, as usual, from Jerry Lorenzen this year. Dusty Bonner last year leads the SEC, one of the top quarterbacks in the nation. He's not going to start this year, and Jerry Lorenzen, the biggest quarterback probably ever, steps in and has been one of the top quarterbacks in the country, a la Bonner last year. So now Phil Petty trying to match Lorenzen point for point, and has to dump that one and will draw a flag for it. He thinks he was hit late, and he may just have the officials agreeing. Jeremy Caudle, the true freshman defensive tackle, bearing down on Petty, along with Matt Leo.
Yeah, it should not be intentional grounding because of the new rule. He got outside the tackle box.
Shouldn't be a penalty either, Bill. You know, I know I'm a former D lineman, but this, you can't call this.
Unnecessary roughness. Roughing the quarterback. On the defense. 16 yards. First down.
All right, this is right at game speed. This is just what happened. This is a true freshman. Big, strong kick. It's nice penetration. Throws the ball away. Oh,
You're telling me that because he's a true freshman, we ought to let him knock the quarterback in the back of the head?
You know,
come on, Michael.
Give Petty an Academy Award for acting on that.
It was superb acting. It was a pretty good shot, too.
Awful.
You D linemen are so strong. The rest of us is just at your mercy.
294-pound freshman gave Petty the pop. And the first down pass is thrown behind Corey Alexander and incomplete. Hal Mumme is an even 20-20 in his 4th year at Kentucky, and hoping that he can get this season righted. They're coming off a very disappointing loss at the hands of Mississippi. Lou Holtz has maybe the best story in college football going. In his 29th year, 4 different programs now to top 25 status, including the Gamecocks 2 weeks ago, although their loss to Alabama knocked them back out this week. Option keeper, Petty, a nice look off, and all the way to the Wildcat 40. Bad ankle and all. He is battling a sprained ankle, which Happened to him late in the Mississippi State game, but looking pretty limber in the first half.
Yeah, he really does. And here's what's happened. In warm-ups, I was very concerned about him because his ankle looked so stiff. What's happening is he's getting loosened up. Yes, this is chilly weather, but it's not so cold that he can't get that blood flowing, and he's moving much better now than he did in the early going. He made a nice fake and turned it up in there and made that first down. He looked like a big back himself, although not as big as Jared.
He and 5 other Gamecock quarterbacks battled through injuries in a winless 1999. What a turnaround this year. Option pitch off Watson's hands and recovered by Kentucky. Derek Watson fumble prone tonight, and Caudle comes up with the recovery.
Now, Michael, you could call that poetic justice. Your boy Caudle, the big freshman defensive tackle who's just hustling around playing really hard tonight, he got rewarded for what you thought was a bad call.
Well, Matt Layout was the defensive end out there on the option, forced the pitch, and it looked like Derek Watson was looking down the field before he had the ball in his hands. Let's watch his eyes and see if we can get it here. It's like he started looking downfield. You see, he was looking up, and the ball wasn't secure yet. It's like a receiver looking downfield before he has the ball.
Yeah, and Matt Layout was in good position. That might be who he was looking at.
After the Caudle recovery, here come the Wildcats. Watson has lost the fumble. Andrew Pinnock has also lost the fumble tonight for South Carolina. And Chad Scott carries for about 3. Al Mumme with the trademark towel around the neck and the trademark pass-happy offense coming in this week. 7th in the nation in passing offense and 2nd in the SEC in both passing and total offense. Business as usual. Although Mississippi held them well below their usual numbers. Back to form so far here in the first half. Lorenzen, who makes about half the calls himself at the line. Swing pass out. Chad Scott is hit hard at the 48, and we send it down on the sidelines to Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Dave, another big South Carolina mistake. After last Saturday's loss at Alabama, Lou Holtz called on some of his players, those who made mistakes, to stand up and explain how, after practicing things all week, they weren't able to execute during the games. How were assignments missed? Why did linemen step with the wrong foot? Holtz said, hey, we're not putting anyone down, but you have to be accountable. This is a family. Dave?
If you look at the motivation not to repeat mistakes, that would motivate one. But they have turned it over twice on fumbles tonight. Play clock winding its way down, and so Lorenzen decides to call timeout. They're first, and it comes with 7:16 in the first half. 14-10 lead for Kentucky, and after their timeout, they have a 3rd and 4 from their 49-yard line. Jared Lorenzen, redshirt freshman from Fort Thomas, listed 6'4", 275 pounds. That is officially. Unofficially, maybe tack on another 15, 20. Very nimble and effective back there. And he fires it complete down to the 43. Goes Anthony Kelly, first down, Kentucky. A redshirt freshman looking far from green. Lorenzen, some say benefits from the system, but the numbers back him up heading into this weekend. He led the SEC in completions, pass yards, total yards, and touchdown passes. Those conference rankings equate to no worse than 5th in the country. That is not a bad freshman orientation we're watching for this young man this year. And 13 of 17 tonight. Fires it out to the side again, and inside the 30, fumbling it out of bounds, is Dougie Allen. And good for 14 more. He is following the recent tradition of big number quarterbacks, beginning in Mumme's first year, 1997. Tim Couch, 353 yards a game. Dusty Bonner last year led the SEC and then lost the job before the season began to Lorenzen and transferred to Valdosta State in Georgia. But the numbers are at least as good, and in some instances, yards per pass, for example, even better for Lorenzen. And that was behind Mumme's decision to make the change, even coming off the excellent year Bonner had last year. He thought he could get more deep from the bigger arm that Lorenzen possesses. And some movement by Kip Sixberry up front.
You know, when we talk to Jared and you say the official weight of 275, when we mentioned that to him, we all saw the little smirk on his face. He's probably more around 290. But when you say this is mummy ball and this is, you know, he may benefit from the system, this is not your average quarterback here. For his size, the way he can move in the pocket, you'll see him slide in the pocket. He's got very nimble feet for a big man. He obviously has a laser for an arm, but he has surprisingly good touch for a big man as well. And he's so young, but he's calling half his plays at the line of scrimmage. I mean, it's scary to think what happens when he matures, Bill.
I think he's pretty mature.
Well, I mean, I don't
He's pretty mature to me. He ain't no baby, I'll tell you that. Although Baby Huey is one of his nicknames.
Everything you just described, though, Mike, is virtually unprecedented for a quarterback. The size and everything else. Yardage up the middle for Chad Scott. True freshman. 100 pounds lighter than Lorenzen at 175, and he scampers for 14.
And this is what happens when you have a great passing game. All of a sudden, the linebackers and DBs are getting out of there, and all of a sudden they have to come back and play the run.
And you know what you say when you hand the ball to Scott? Zoom, zoom. I mean, he can explode. That's acceleration. Hal Mumme loves this young freshman. He said this guy's just a great player. He showed up with maturity. He's a true freshman.
Fourth straight start this week for Chad Scott. Lorenzen on a roll, and he is nimble. He got away from one potential sack by Andre Offing, and then up to finish him off was Dennis Quinn.
Again, we see the run, and then he runs the play action off of it. They're not afraid to move him out of the pocket. Little play action. He's got some feet for a big man. Sees nobody, just to put his head down. We asked him, what are you going to do if you ever get into the open field? I'm going to find the smallest guy I can and try and run him over. That's a good plan.
The offense is going to get a little heat in the team meeting. How could you miss him?
Now Lorenzen surveying left and right. Has everybody where he wants them. Their clock winding down. Fires it over the middle. Caught and then fumbled by Derek Smith. And they will rule it a catch and a fumble. No ruling yet on the recovery at the 10-yard line.
Looks like they got it back.
They did. Derek Smith was Lorenzen's record-setting high school teammate at Fort Thomas Highlands in Kentucky and is leading target this year and may be hurt after losing the fumble.
Well, he's coming off of a concussion last year. The headaches, or last week, I should say. He's just feeling good, doesn't have the headache anymore. Is the inside guy right there in the slot. Again, he just got over the headache this week. Doesn't get a hard hit. The ball just gets knocked out of there.
Derek Abney recovers it. Antoine Neesmith, the man who knocked it free from Smith. And Derek trying to shake it off. You mentioned coming off a concussion. And for much of the week, there was some question whether he would be able to start, but he did. Warning on the Kentucky sidelines. We do not assess in the yard. It's first and goal from the 10. And Lorenzen firing to the side. Down near the 5-yard line is Quentin McCord. Kentucky, so far tonight, 2 for 2, both touchdowns in their trips inside plus territory. And for the season, 16 for 18.
Yeah, with 11 touchdowns. So they've got a good ratio of touchdowns. And they make the field goals when they don't score the touchdown. And they're down here with a chance to take another one in. Earlier in the game, we had their big back offense with the QB just running through people. He's changing the play now. He's changing it again.
From the 4.
And there it is.
He will keep. This is how they got their first touchdown. It was a 2-yard quarterback sneak by Lorenzen, virtually untouched.
There aren't many folks that can have their big back offense without a handoff.
That's now his 12th quarterback sneak. 10 have gone for first downs. His 11th one tonight went for a touchdown. And that one, if he'd have veered off to the right a little bit, he would have had another touchdown. He just got right behind his big old center and ran up his back.
He is bigger than every defensive lineman that's trying to bring him down. I mean, they're trying to do things they have never been asked to do. Bring down a 290 or so pound QB up the middle. 3rd and goal. And it is scramble and fire to the back of the end zone and incomplete off the hands of Dougie Allen. And also maybe deflected by Neesmith, which may have affected Allen's timing.
Yeah, Neesmith had 2 big plays. He's the one that knocked the ball loose from Derek Smith, and he was right here and got up and got just enough of that to keep Dougie Allen from catching it. But you got to take your hat off to the big guy, Mike, because he does have good feet and he does have nice touch.
That was Kalimba Edwards. He was outrunning or getting space on. Edwards was close on him, but that's who he was distancing himself from, the 260-pound great athlete for South Carolina.
Seth Hansen has not missed a kick all year. 7 of 7 on field goals, 16 of 16 on point after. So Kentucky having to settle for 3 with 3:03 to go in the first half. Comes thundering through as he did for the first Wildcat touchdown. 17-10 they lead, 3:04 to go in the first half. Lorenzen engineering a 54-yard drive, 11 plays, 5 of 6 through the air, but they have to settle for Hansen's 21-yarder. And now Clint Root good to kick it off. Eric Watson is the deep man. He takes it on the run at the 5 and again has trouble with the handle. He has fumbled it twice, muffed that kick, picked it back up, and the marker is down as Watson reaches the 34. Penalty flag thrown about the 18-19-yard line.
You know, I was talking to some of the South Carolina coaches before the game and asking them the difference between last year losing all the games and this year winning 4 and then losing 1, the difference coming off of a loss. They said it was amazing how the players treated it from almost getting used to losing last year, not really getting used to it, but it happening a lot, to now having actually a winning streak going and dealing with the loss. They said they really took it hard. And I tell you what, this is a really important drive right now with 2:50 to go in the half, down 7 points. This offense has got to get some movement.
They have traveled miles from 0-11 last year to upset with themselves because they didn't win at Alabama to go 5-0.
Exactly, but it's what have you done for me lately, and this team knows it can win in the SEC now.
This was the worst offense in Division 1A last year. Fewest yards, fewest points. Bill Petty has engineered a remarkable turnaround. And they give inside to Watson up to the 15.
So many times when there's a rapid descent in the temperature, the texture of the football actually changes. It is slipperier than when it is in a warm weather climate. Now, normally reliable hands like these people normally don't drop the football like this. It's all over the ground. One of the reasons is because the ball is slippery in this cold weather.
It has really limited the effectiveness of Watson tonight. And again piled up, maybe a yard, hit first by Matt Leo.
You see the ball sometimes, it gets a little bit of a glaze on it. I kind of say a glazed donut a little bit. That's why I don't think I would ever drop it. But
yeah,
you know,
you D linemen would love it, but you would like to eat it. We need to, as offensive people, we're a little more sophisticated. We have to learn to handle that thing with that glaze on it and keep it away from you guys.
It's a 3rd and 3, and Kentucky with 2 timeouts to work with if they can force the 3-and-out here. So they're on their feet, 67,000 plus. Pass is caught and good for a first down to the 25-yard line goes Brian Scott. And let's check into the studio with Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, coming up at halftime, another classic in the Orange Bowl between the Noles and Canes with a familiar ending. We have some upsets in the Big Ten and a signature victory for one team. In the SEC, I know you guys already know this, it's wide open. We'll see you at the half.
First down from the gun is Petty, and another catch over the middle by Scott, who's been his favorite target tonight. About 6 yards here in front of Derek Tatum's cover.
Tatum on the stop.
Gamecocks have all 3 of their timeouts, and they will use the first one here with 1:13. 17-10 Kentucky. Plenty of time for South Carolina to tie it up. Getting back into business tonight over there, and Kentucky in business here with a 17-10 lead and a sold-out house at Commonwealth Stadium. But plenty of time for the Gamecocks to maybe tie it up before halftime. Derek Watson to the 33-34. Clock rolling down here 1 minute. Nick Seitz makes the stop.
Brought down by Nick Seitz.
We will have the Buick halftime report with Bruce Davis coming up in just a matter of seconds.
3rd and 1.
Lou Holtz hoping to improve to 3-1 in conference play. They began the day tied for first in the East, and that should be enough to stop the clock, get the chains moved. Another first down for Watson.
They're going with the no huddle. They got the short yardage into the nickel package in here real quick. Clock will stop until the chains get set.
Scott Brown, the center, number 50, is having a heck of a time with Caudill. Caudill is really knocking him around. Big, strong freshman.
But here he comes again, and he hits Petty after he delivers incomplete, intended for Scott.
Yeah, Caudill's lined up right on the center's nose. Big, true freshman from Eastern Kentucky, Martin, Kentucky. Hadn't been. He's going to go straight ahead. He's going to whip Scott Brown, the center. He's just been giving him fits all night.
Why they didn't call a penalty on that?
Well, that was not a late hit.
Neither was the other.
I will concede that. I'm not talking about the other.
2nd and 10. Over the middle. And hanging on after getting banged around pretty good is Ryan Brewer. And the Gamecocks get their second timeout at 22 seconds.
Yeah, and what did Skip Holt say about Ryan Brewer? Anytime, anywhere, any era, this guy can play.
Well, they originally looked as if to signal timeout. Now, referee Rocky Good may have to measure
Officials
this.
timeout for a measurement.
Hey, doesn't he go in that name game, the contest, Rocky Good?
Rocky Good ought to be in there.
Boy, actually a break here for South Carolina getting a measurement. They could be ready to go when the chains are going back.
That's right. They need to get their play call and be at the line of scrimmage when that clock is wound.
Brewer, Mr. Football out of Ohio. Big, tough kid. Look at this hit he takes. Nice.
Now, that was a very tough
Yes,
catch.
it was.
He hung on to that slick football. Some of his teammates haven't been doing nearly as well. This guy can play.
Player of the decade, in fact, for the 90s in the state of Ohio. Long pass, perfect over-the-shoulder job, and Brian Scott alertly hops up, gets timeout called, 31 yards, the strike from Petty to Brian Scott.
Yeah, I don't understand why they've got the backup corner in there. Maybe Kenneth Grant's injured, number 36, but Derek Tatum's the backup, and he's the one they're picking on. They're not going to against Eric. Yeah, look at this. Good, Eric Kelly, the guy that covers the best for Kentucky in the secondary. They're just leaving him alone now and going after the backup guy.
Well, you want to go with your big play guy, and that Brian Scott has certainly been that tonight. Had a step on the DB. Nice pass by Petty. Good. His accuracy deep has not been very good. That certainly was right on the money.
This guy, for the season coming in, had 9 catches, 146 yards. He's had a whole season's worth of work just the first half tonight.
But in 99, he averaged over 21 yards a catch. This year, he's averaging a little over 16 yards a catch, and that's the highest on the team. So he's the guy you want to go to get the big chunks of yards.
Well, both Coach Holtzes, the head coach and the offensive coordinator, both mentioned Brian's name when we asked him who's really stepping up and making plays for you now. He's improving in practice. This whole football team just seems to find a way to get things done. With the exception of last week, they played very well. We've already identified Skip as the offensive coordinator, Coach Holtz's son that did such a marvelous job at the University of Connecticut before coming down with his dad.
Gamecocks have one more timeout, 9 seconds. And Petty wants to take a shot near the goal line. And Jermell Kelly makes the catch with 3 seconds to spare at the 3. 20 yards covered by Eric Kelly.
Well, there was Eric Kelly, the best cover man they have, going against arguably the best receiver overall for South Carolina. Kelly on Kelly, just an out route. Man coverage again. That's what I love about this defense. It's man coverage, and he turns him around. You saw Eric Kelly turn around in a circle. Once you turn your back to the quarterback, you're going to be beat.
He sold the inside move so well. He forced Kelly to commit, and they need to kick this football and take the field goal here. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, here again, watch. Kelly's back was turned, and now he has to catch up. What another great. That's a hard pass, Bill. Over the shoulder to the outside, really kind of lobbing it in. Two great passes.
Yeah, those are beautiful touch passes by Petty, and he shows what he did not have the advantage of last week, which was that he practiced all week. When you don't practice at that position, you really can't be as effective. This time he got all the reps. They're going to kick the field goal. I think that's the right thing.
I agree. Absolutely the right thing to do. We agree. That scares me.
Well, it ain't going to happen very often, big boy.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Reed Bethea tries a 20-yarder on the last play of the first half, and it is good. So the Gamecocks move it down to the 3. Bethea makes it 17-13. Both teams moving the ball as expected. Sellout at Commonwealth Stadium. Seen a good one so far. We send you to Reese Davis. Just about set for the second half now at Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington. Cool, breezy night in the mid-30s. 17-13 in favor of Kentucky. And yet South Carolina moves the ball better. They have been their own worst enemy, however, with 2 lost fumbles. One by Derek Watson, one by Andrew Petty. There were several others, Bill, that they managed to recover, but clearly with the cold conditions, they seem to be only affecting the Gamecocks.
Yeah, and Coach Holtz has emphasized no errors this week. They fumbled the ball 5 times, lost 2 of them, 4 penalties at crucial times, and Mike, they could be ahead in this football game.
Yeah.
If not for those things.
No, you're absolutely right, and Phil Petty is actually out dueling Jared Lorenzen at this point, yardage-wise. In passing, got him a little momentum going in. But on Kentucky side, Jared Lorenzen just needs to keep doing what they're doing on offense. They're controlling the ball. They've held the ball longer than South Carolina. He's done what nobody's done against South Carolina this year, as he's thrown for a touchdown pass against it. So he's just going to keep dinking it and dunking it down the field, look for the big play.
So in the second half, Lou Holtz hoping for a 5-1 mark, 3-1 in conference play once they come out of this, but they'll have to come from behind and do a better job hanging on to the ball to do it. 4th active, 11th all-time with 220 career wins. He has taken the Gamecocks into the top 25 this year. Not this week, but they have been there this year. The 4th different program for Holtz to reach that lofty status. If they finish the year in the top 25, he's the first ever to do it with 4 different teams. Second half kick return for Kentucky by Martez Johnson out to the 25-yard line, and the Wildcats will go from there. And Jared Lorenzen moved the ball not as well as he usually does in the first half. Kentucky enjoying a slight edge in time of possession, which is something that Holt placed a high emphasis on. But the Gamecocks try and dominate. 16 of 21 for 139 yards and 1 touchdown through the air for Lorenzen.
The average is 319 a game, so he's got a little ways to go to get to that.
Martez Johnson, about 8-9 yards. Angling off tackle, brought down by the free safety, Antoine Neesmith.
Antonio Hall's education continues. True freshmen very rarely start in the offensive line. The big number 73 does a nice job of stretching his responsibility out. Got a little help from his friend there. Josh Parrish came along, and they knocked Cecil Caldwell to the ground, and a nice 9-yard gain in a rare running play.
All out of one of the top programs in America, Canton McKinley High School in Ohio. Too low, intended for Quentin McCord, and a rare bad pass by Lorenzen.
And we talked about his size at 275 or whatever, but the way he can move in the pocket, and you see the number of pass plays been hurried, has not been knocked down, not been sacked. Very difficult to do it, even if you get a free shot on him. And we've already seen when he's scrambled, he's getting distancing himself from some of the D linemen, which he outweighs every one of the D linemen for South Carolina.
He's quick as a very big cat.
They say around 4'8" in the 40. Amazing for a 290 or whatever pounder. Chad Scott, the 175-pounder, carries for a first down. And let's check in down below with Michelle Tafoya.
All right, Dave, well, I spoke with Hal Mumme at halftime. He is as relaxed and calm as any coach that I've ever seen at halftime. I asked him if there were adjustments he needs to make. He said, not really. We're going to see what South Carolina comes out and does and how they adjust, and we'll adjust to that. The only thing that did have him slightly concerned was about his defense and how they're adjusting to South Carolina's fade routes. That's the one thing they'll work on, Dave.
In a lot of ways, he is definitely not your garden variety head football coach.
He's not.
Loves to go for it on fourth down. Loves to throw it 50, 60 times a game. Scott, effective on the ground. That's another good 8-9 yard pickup on first down. And he does not mind playing true freshman.
He'll put true freshmen out there in a heartbeat, and he and his wife June have endured a bout with cancer, in her case, breast cancer, and they've turned it into a positive. She's overcome the disease, and today is Breast Cancer Awareness Day in the state of Kentucky. And he says that has put football in very bold relief for him, and while he still cares a lot, he doesn't get too worked up about things that aren't life-threatening. Real healthy attitude.
Running down on Lorenzen. Just in time he gets the snap. And again they run Chad through the middle. And again he has the first down across midfield. The tackle made by Willie Alford.
Well, he is quick, Chad Scott. 107.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you?
Zoom. I remember. Zoom. This is the 18-year-old kid, a freshman. Says, I don't care. I'm in major college ball. I'll make the moves. Cutting back, finding the hole. And then what I like at the end, Bill, you know me, I like that north and south side. He makes a couple of moves, but then he knows where the sticks are to get the first down.
And you know what I like? He puts that ball away.
Zoom.
North-south, ball security, zoom.
Look at him standing next to Lorenzen. You want to adjust your screen somehow. Can't be right. This is going to go for a loss of 3. The swing pass read and reacted. Willie Alford did about as well as you can. Chad Scott out of Plant City, Florida. Very elusive, surprising strength for his size. He set the Florida high school playoff record last year, 391 yards in one playoff game on just 15 carries.
Can you imagine high school kids trying to tackle him? He's like lightning.
Not many did.
No, they sure didn't.
Definitely not that bad.
Lightning in a bottle.
Lost 3 here, and Lorenzen has to step up and show his nimbleness afoot, and he's out of bounds at the 49.
Can't believe he ran out of bounds. You see, again, great job of getting out of the pocket. I thought for sure I was getting ready for him to turn it up. I mean, he looks like a lineman. Look at him, the jersey all torn up. Look at him, good job. Turn it up, big guy. I know you don't really like your quarterback to do it, but you'll lay the wood to somebody. You went out of bounds. Live to fight another day, I guess, there.
Yeah, and you had a little guy could have run over there. He just turned it up.
Look, he does not look like your garden variety quarterback.
Doesn't he belong in the old single platoon days? He could play quarterback and then turn around and chase quarterback.
And defensive pass.
Yeah. It affected either way. Third down pass over the middle, caught, and a first down to the 33-yard line. The catch is good for 16 yards. Bobby Blizzard, the sophomore out of Hampton, Virginia.
And I tell you what beats closing speed by a cornerback? A hard throw. And he lasered that ball in there. It was pretty good coverage by the defensive back who was trying to close on it on the throw. It's going to come from the left of your screen. But he just zips the ball in there. The cornerback on maybe a normal throw might have been able to get a hand in there, but he throws the ball so hard.
Yeah, a hard throw and a very large body on Bobby Blizzard.
Passes from Ronald Curry in high school. A chance to go to North Carolina, do it again. He took UK. Scott, elusive, inside the 5, have it knocked out of bounds. They will say at the 3, 30 yards, Antoine Neesmith prevents the touchdown. I mean,
Jared
you blink
Lorenzen.
your eye, then you miss Chad Scott.
Absolutely. Jared Lorenzen's already showing another characteristic that all the great quarterbacks have, and that is, where's my main man? Every chance he gets, he locates number 4, Scott. He buys some time with his agility, locates Scott again, and the result is obvious.
First and goal from the 2. They look to add to a 4-point lead, and the quick fade is intercepted. It was intended for Quentin McCord in the corner of the end zone, and it is picked off by Sheldon Brown, his 3rd interception of the year.
And that's a crucial mistake by Jared Lorenzen, the very young man we've been bragging on here so much. You must make that throw well over the shoulder of your receiver so that only your guy can catch it and the other guy has no chance.
First turnover by the Wildcats, and this one is going to hurt. In the end zone, Brown the pick. The SEC's top ball-hawking defense this year. The Gamecocks' 11th interception. They had a total of 8 all last year. Sheldon Brown's 3rd defensive play of the day so far, with the Wildcats hoping to extend a 4-point lead. Instead, South Carolina takes it back over, and Petty deals it over the middle. Another catch, short yardage. Brian Scott, 7 catches already for right at 130 yards.
Well, go back to the interception. It's a fade in the end zone. You see on the outside, Quentin McCord covered by Sheldon Brown. See, McCord doesn't jump, and that's a tough one to not jump. He's really not supposed to jump, but you see Jared Lorenzen very upset. See, I think he wanted his receiver to jump, but a very tough position to have to jump in when you're throwing the fade over the shoulder.
So when you're running full speed toward the corner and you're supposed to jump backward, that's a hard jump now.
That one's on the quarterback. He underthrew that one.
12th interception this year by Lorenzen. Down to Michelle.
Well, Dave,
momentarily. We'll hear from Michelle. 3rd and 2 after the pickup by Watson. To the 28. Watson with a toss sweep. There's room there and out of bounds for the first down. Now, Michelle.
Well, Dave, that interception may have just saved South Carolina another Lou Holtz lecture. I talked to Lou at halftime, and unlike Al Mummy, he was far from relaxed. He was pretty wound up. He told me he chastised his team about their mistakes, penalties, turnovers, and in particular, tackling. He told me Kentucky's got a good offense, but we should be tackling. Dave?
Bill, would you say that it is an article of faith with Lou Holtz? The worse he talks about his team, the better he thinks they are.
He gets on them when he thinks they're capable of doing something. He challenges them when he knows they can respond. And I think you're exactly right. You summed it up.
Movement from a couple of areas.
And he's ardent about tackling like all good coaches are. He says, you put your nose, you kiss the football, you wrap up, you keep your feet moving. That's tackling.
False start, movement offensive line, 5-yard penalty, repeat the down.
Drive killers, we call those things. 5-yard penalties. Coaches detest those things. We'll put up with a 15-yarder every now and then because that's part of aggressiveness. But we hate the stupid penalties that stop drives so often. 1st and 15 is a lot different than 1st and 10.
They come after Petty. He lets one fly for Watson, and incomplete. Watson one-on-one with Willie Gary. What's going on with Tennessee and Georgia, Reese Davis?
Well, Dave, Georgia's trying to exercise its demons, and they're giving the ball to Musa Smith. Dogs started this drive on their own 1. Smith driving inside to the 1. He would score from there a play later, and Georgia's on top, 21-10.
South Carolina making its first real national mark a couple of weeks ago by upsetting Georgia, ending an 18-game SEC losing streak in the process. Everyone looking better and better. Pass deflected off the hands of Ryan Brewer so hard it was not an interceptable ball.
you go back to what Lou Holtz was saying about how he's treating his team now. And guys, when we talked to him before the Georgia game, he said last year when they were losing, he was more of a coddling coach, saying, okay, guys, it'll get better at some point. But now this year they're winning. It's a different story. He's jumping on them a little more. We heard Michelle talk about accountability Lou Holtz had the players get. Now he's jumping in their face because you're right, Bill. Now they know they can win, and he expects more out of them.
Well, third down to convert here. Carlos Spikes picks his way for about 7 or 8. Nowhere near the first. Knocked out by Jamal White.
Coach Holtz has challenged his offensive line to dominate this football game in the run and the pass. And they're not doing it in the run, are they, Mike? No. They're just not knocking people out of there. And he really believes. And when I heard him say that, when he told us that, I thought to myself, he knows his guys ought to be able to do that against this Kentucky defense. They're not getting it done. Not in the running game.
They are keeping Tyler Dean off the field. He kicks for just the second time tonight, and Kendrick Shanklin has dropped back deep for the Wildcats. Both of them have been good, high, deep kicks. Out at the 17-yard line here. 8:57 to go third quarter. 17-13 Kentucky. A Vic, and more Vic for the Hokies Thursday. Kentucky has average beginning of possession at their 36. 14 yards better off than the Gamecocks. Not here, though. Deep in their own end, and the swing pass will lose a yard to Chad Scott.
Here's what Kentucky is doing. Again, they pass to set up the run, so even their running game is like the short passes, and that's what Hal Mumme wanted to do tonight. It was going to be the quick passes. If there were 6 passes of 20 yards or more, that would have been a lot tonight. They want to keep it short. Quick passes, get it into the receiver's hands or the running back hands, and have them do the rest. And that's exactly what's been going on tonight. They've been very quick passes out of Jared Lorenzen.
Rolling, firing it deep from McCord. Almost another interception for Sheldon Brown in that same matchup.
They're going to pick their spots for that. Again, they want to keep them short. Lorenzen calling a lot of the plays at the line. He'll go on what he sees. See where he passes right now. Look at those. That's line of scrimmage. That's what I mean. Quick passes, not really going down the field a lot. They'll pick their spots. He thought he could go long on that last play. Good coverage.
Not only does he not look like a freshman physically, but the way he, at all times, looks so comfortable and in charge of this multifaceted attack, not like a redshirt freshman. Shovels that one, intended for Scott, and they are going to rule this a fumble. And a recovery for the Gamecocks. Lorenzen meaning that to be a shovel pass, and he will argue that is not a lost fumble. Kalimba Edwards comes up with it for South Carolina.
Well, that you see that shuffle play when the receiver or the running back comes underneath, and the quarterback does kind of flip it like an option flip. It's a good call. Again, you call it usually that shuffle pass that you see a lot, and when it's dropped, it's an incomplete pass. Well, this is Lorenzen just trying to get rid of the ball at the end. He kind of flipped it like an option flip, and the ball was dropped or didn't get there. And that's the correct call. If there's a receiver in the area, it's an incomplete pass.
Cecil Caldwell had a hold of the ankles of Lorenzen, and you saw no argument from Lou Holtz. And on comes Seth Hansen.
Yeah, what an incredible punt formation they got there, Mike. They got 3 coverage guys out here all together out wide.
Think they're going to kick that way?
Ryan Brewer backs up. Well covered indeed.
Well, it worked. I'll tell you that. It's a heck of a scheme.
41-yarder by Hansen. And in case you just tuned over from baseball and watched the Mets knock off the Giants, in the National League Divisional Series. Welcome to Lexington, Commonwealth Stadium. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, drill stomping ground. And Mike Golick as well. Pretty much what we expected to see. Offense is moving it up and down the field today.
Offense is moving it up and down. Too many mistakes by South Carolina, and Kentucky not able to capitalize very often.
Kentucky just trying to control the ball at this point. But Phil Petty, you know, he may be able to lead this team down. He looked good going into halftime.
Got that one off for Spikes under pressure, and he trips before he can turn it into a nice big gain. It'll be 7 or 8 as he settles here. Former quarterback last year. They had to play a half-dozen different players at quarterbacks. And a blizzard of injuries. Lou Holtz enduring, losing all 11 games his first year at Columbia. And then a complete 180 this year. And Petty has been the center of it offensively. 15 to 23, already 200 tonight. Not had the usual production from Derek Watson, who's been fumble prone at running back. Petty keeps and loses back to the 45. Quick reacting Marlon McCree, the SEC's leader in sacks and tackles behind the line.
He just added to that. He had 8.5 coming in. Give him another one now, and that's what he does. He's only a $195 as a linebacker, so you know in this team with a 5-man defensive line, he's protected. He's not going to get blocked a lot of times. He gets some free reign to make those plays.
And the Wildcat crowd urging on the defense as Petty fires on the run, and it is a strike but dropped. The first one mishandled all night by Brian Scott. He's had 7 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown, and this is his first mistake.
Yeah, I talked earlier about the fact that the ball is a little slick on nights like this. But Brian's made so many good catches tonight, and this throw is so perfect, there's no excuse. He just didn't look at the tip of the ball, secure it, and put it away. Would have been a big play for South Carolina.
So Tyler Dean and Kendrick Shanklin ready to go to work for the special teams. A very high kick, fair caught at the 21. ESPN Sunday Night Football at 8:30 Eastern comes from Jacksonville this week, and the Ravens take on the Jaguars. Our coverage begins with NFL primetime at 7:30. Tony Banks, who led the Ravens to a Week 2 victory over the Jags with 5 touchdown passes, goes for the sweep. And then ABC's Monday Night Football, 9 Eastern, from Minneapolis, the Buccaneers and the Vikings in a terrific matchup. Dante Culpepper, Randy Moss for the Vikings. Warren Sapp and the Bucs defense will look to shut them down Monday. Tough to shut down this man tonight, Chad Scott, getting more action and turning more elusive as this game wears on.
Mike, I just saw another attribute that Chad Scott obviously has. In addition to his great cutting ability and speed, he's got marvelous peripheral vision. What Alex Hawkins used to call perennial vision, he's got it. I mean, he saw something that you and I wouldn't have seen. Way back yonder on the other side of his head, and he got back to the hole.
Back yonder?
Back yonder. Way back yonder, I said.
All right.
They don't say that in Cleveland.
No, we don't get that term a whole lot.
Nearly 6 yards for Terry tonight for Scott. Try him again right side. And he should have the first down and then the fumble after he was down.
You know, going back to the Monday night game, you saw Tampa Bay and Minnesota. Everybody talks about the evolution of the quarterback. Is it going toward that running quarterback, getting outside the pocket? But how about maybe the big quarterback? We've already talked about Jared Lorenzen, 275-pounder. You got Dante Culpepper for the Vikings. He's about 255, 260. You've got Donovan McNabb is in the 230, 240 area. You've got Steve McNair for the Tennessee Titans, who's probably in the 240, 245 area. So some big quarterbacks coming out.
Yeah, and they're all smart.
Yes, they are.
Got limping off. He's replaced by Artus Pinner. In the NFL, they're marveling at how big Culpepper is. Wait till they get a load of Lorenzen in a few years. Derek Abney, they mark out of bounds at the 35. Down we go to the Michelle Tafoya.
Well, you guys have been talking about Lorenzen's size. He's used to all the attention. He's even memorized most of the nicknames he's gotten. I asked him to list them off for us. He rattled off Hefty Lefty, World's Largest Quarterback, Ox Bowl, Baby Huey, Double Deuce, Jughead. But Lorenzen's personal favorite? Agile, Mobile, Hostile, and Hungry.
That boy hadn't been too hungry too many times, so his mama's taking good care of him.
No, there's not a lot of no when they ask him if he wants another helping.
We asked him why he stayed close to home. He said, you know, the mom's thing.
Penner, no gain. 13 pounds, 3 ounces at birth. Lorenzen has been a quarterback since age 5, even though he wasn't wild about the idea back then.
Well, he cried.
Yeah, he did.
His daddy had to go on the field and make him take the snap. He didn't want to put his hands under the center's rear end.
Well, who among us at age 5 was real in favor of that idea?
One thing he said nowadays, he said one of his best friends on the team is usually the centers because they have to have kind of a special relationship.
Yeah, but he said, I loved it when we went to the gun.
We're leading 5 here on 3rd down. Steps up, finds Scott back in. No limp here. Chad all the way to the 40. That's 110% or so, and a pickup of 24 yards.
Well, I tell you what, he stepped up in the pocket. It looked like he was going to run. I think people started to converge on him. Watch him run. You know you're going to need more than one to bring him down. Looks like he's going to run for it. You talk about peripheral. He had it outside, saw Scott breaking down the field, and just let him. What a great job of recognition on both players' parts.
Well, Jared has him moving again, and Janet Hermes, his mom, right there in the middle. Urging him on. Just under 4 minutes to go, 3rd quarter. Still at 17-13. Scott finds a hole up the middle. He doesn't need much of an opening. He's scored through for about 6 here.
You know, he makes me think of Warwick Dunn. Just a terrific back. Doesn't have to be a real big guy. Paul, who's really struggled in pass protection, talking about the right tackle, number 73, does a good job here. Draw block, keeps his feet well, a good wide base, extend those arms. That's legal as long as it's within the plane. But the veteran Cecil Caldwell gives him a little shove over the pile to keep him humble.
After the fake, fires it out to the side. And Bobby Blizzard at the 27-yard line. Another Wildcat first down.
One of these things that the Kentucky offense does is they keep mixing up the plays. They do a great job, especially when you're successful with that run. You can do the fake to the pass. And, you know, even though this is a few yards gain on the pass, enough for the first down, he's throwing it a long way, and he is throwing it on an absolute rope, getting it to the outside.
Yeah, South Carolina gives up the outside. We're going to exploit it with our big gun arm.
And Lorenzen has spread it around tonight. 10 different receivers. That one is juggled and quickly getting control of it. Chad Scott for a loss of about 3. John Stamper crashing through from defensive end.
And they do a lot of plays to set up. You may see a fake of that play a little later in the game and set up, and he'll come boot left because he is a left-hander right the way he wants to throw. That's what Kentucky does such a nice job of running plays and setting themselves up to run that play again, but fake it and do a pass off of it.
Yeah, and I don't know if they scheme it this way, but had that ball gone on the ground, it would not have been a fumble. It would have been a forward pass. It would have been an incomplete pass, probably by design.
Play clock down to 2, and they have to call timeout. Their first of the second half. 2:08 to go, 3rd quarter. 17-13, Cats driving. That recently expanded Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington. 2:08 in the 3rd, 17-13, but Kentucky looking to add to it.
Next time we see Lorenzen, which will be very soon, that jersey's illegal. That flaps up. His shoulder pads can come up, Mike, and he can be hit on that shoulder. Very vulnerable. No shoulder pad. The jersey's supposed to hold that down. That's a rule in football.
The SEC officiating crews normally ready to jump on any uniform violation. Deep over the middle, another interception by Sheldon Brown, his second tonight. Both foiling scoring drives by Kentucky. And he brings this one all the way out to the 42, a 36-yard return. His first one came in the end zone.
We did say that Jared Lorenzen had 9 interceptions coming in to this game, and this was another bad throw by Jared Lorenzen. See Sheldon Brown there. Man coverage, he just takes away the bad throw, and the safety was coming over the top as well. I mean, that wasn't getting in there either way. A lot of confidence in his ability to throw as Jared Lorenzen. He just tried to drill that one in there.
Yeah, and it was double coverage, and he should have never thrown it over there.
Both of them intended from McCord. Now Watson. Derek Watson in a foot race. Eric Kelly with a chance. No chance. Touchdown, Watson. 58 yards for the lead.
And you can credit big number 40, Travis Lewis, the fullback on the play, with a key block to spring the great tailback Watson, rapidly becoming a great tailback, which Lou has predicted, into the end zone. Man, he turned it on. That's speed, Michael.
And what had been a forgettable night to that point, all of a sudden turns into a memorable one because of the breakaway speed of Derek Watson, the sophomore out of Williamston, South Carolina. That puts him at 111 yards on 15 carries. And he just got more than half of it on that sprint.
You know, Bill, you had said Lou Holtz put it on the offensive line. I know you said it was Travis Lewis, the fullback, with the block, but remember, it's a 5-man defensive line for Kentucky, so that O-line has got their work cut out for them. And if you can get it past that first line, that defensive line, you've got some open field, and that's exactly what happened.
Yes, really a good job by all concerned here. You can see Lewis with the key block. Nice peripheral vision again, and then that terrific speed by Watson. He turns it on. You can see how he became the leading rusher ever in South Carolina and the player of the year when he was coming out of high school.
Certainly needs to go pat the head of all the big hogs in front of him who opened the hole for him, because he wasn't even touched going through the line.
Scott Brown, Laurel Johnson, Melvin Page, the big right tackle, number 72. Big guys enjoy that, even though nobody will call their name after I do it. It's up to us.
So all of a sudden, Al Mumby and Lorenzen talking about coming from behind, and it is very quiet at Commonwealth Stadium. 20-17. Gamecocks. As the long ball threat finally shows up. Watson had been the threat to fumble and break one until then. This is a nice return, breaking across the 45. Goes Kendrick Shanklin, by far his best return of the night. 45 yards. Rasheem Monroe on the tackle. This last year, South Carolina, the lowest scoring team in Division I. Through 5 games, they had totaled 22 points through 6:32. They ended up with 87, and they're just about double there already this year. And for Watson, he just scored his 8th touchdown. The entire team had 8 touchdowns, all of 1999. Now Lorenzen back to work, and over the middle, looking for room at midfield, and not finding a whole lot. Octavius Bond with his first catch.
Well, this is what Kentucky needs to do, is get it back to basics for them. Don't try and get too greedy downfield.
Ernest Sims it is with the catch, and a minute and counting in the third quarter.
They play a lot of people, don't they?
11 different receivers. Nearly 70,000 at Commonwealth Stadium, and until the last minute or so, they've been pretty happy with what's been going on here. Kentucky 2-3 coming in, but moving the ball pretty well. 2 key interceptions by Sheldon Brown And now Scott breaks along with inside the 30, and back come the Wildcats, trailing 20-17 after a 58-yard touchdown run by Derek Watson. Hal Mummy's offense back to work. If they can just keep from bogging themselves down, this is about where their problems have been occurring. The last 2 turnovers, both interceptions by Sheldon Brown, thrown by Jared Lorenzen.
Chad Scott taking advantage of a bad play by Dennis Quinn, the right defensive end. He came way too far inside. Chad Scott easily had the speed to go around him.
Lorenzen to McCord inside the 20. Should be another first. Quentin McCord of 19 yards per catch. Best big play threat among the many that Lorenzen can spread the ball to. With 6 seconds remaining, they'll line up, maybe get one more play. In the 30s tonight in Lexington. The Lou Holtz and the Gamecocks feel a lot warmer thanks to the heroics of that man, Derek Watson, at his 58-yard touchdown run. And the defensive work of Sheldon Brown. 2 interceptions. Watson with the home run ball on offense. So however the 2000 season winds up, this will be a quarter that both South Carolina and Kentucky can look back on as very pivotal. Either Kentucky will get back to 500, or South Carolina will have their first road win in almost 3 years and go to 5-1. 15 minutes to go. Jared Lorenzen starts the 4th quarter with a ball that is incomplete, intended for Neil Brown, ruled not to have been a catch and a fumble. And let's send it down to Michelle.
Well, Dave, after South Carolina scored that last touchdown, the Kentucky offensive line screamed in agony from the bench. But immediately, Hal Mumme ran over to them and said, hey, relax, calm down. Let's get back in there and play. We need a score. Hal Mumme remaining cool as a cucumber. Back to you.
And how quickly Kentucky goes right down the field. A great kickoff return. With this offense, they're already back inside the 20 in a matter of 2 or 3 plays after the break.
Hoping that his offense reflects his calm personality. Josh Parrish moving early here.
Oh, to see the disdain on Jared Lorenzen's face when you get that.
Throw the snap, false start, movement in the offensive line, the 5-yard penalty, and repeat 2nd down.
Early in the game, he had gotten South Carolina to jump a couple of times, so he'll go with the hard count. You can't fool your own team.
Is that disdain? Is that what that was?
Disdain. A look of disdain.
Is that the same as disgust?
No, disgust is worse than disdain. Oh. If they jump again, it'll be disgust.
Yeah, keep watching here when they see that. 2nd and 15, Scott, and juggles at the end of the play. They will unpile that one.
Disgust now.
Depends on who recovers. Maybe relief. Kentucky ball.
How do you spell relief?
Josh Parrish, who just got called for that penalty, now jumping on this fumble by Scott.
Yeah, well, here's real disgust, and that is the possibility that Scott's nicked here. Sure don't want that. And what you're seeing is the wheels coming off of a drive, a mistake by an offensive lineman, a mistake in ball handling, and now you got 3rd and very long. Now, another good thing about the Kentucky offense is it's the kind of offense that can redeem itself with a big play most any time from anywhere, and that's what they'll have to do here.
Remember that Chad Scott limped off the field earlier and then came on pretty quick. Just wanted to get back on the field, and we don't know if he re-injured what he was limping off before. Certainly does look to be in the lower extremities down by the foot or ankle.
It looks like he's in more pain this time.
Yes, it does.
Oh, yeah. I hope it's a minor thing. You don't want anybody to get injured.
Again, a true freshman, 4 true freshmen starting this year for Kentucky, 2 on offense, 2 on defense.
Yeah, he's walking on his own.
Yep.
Again, he just makes me think of Warwick Dunn with his acceleration. The fact that he's minuscule compared to these
and his
giants
vision
out here.
And his vision, as you mentioned, I completely agree with you. He's got great vision for a young man.
Yeah. Looks like he's going to be fine.
He's picking up momentum as he makes his way out. Artus Penner will check in. Scott not even checked by Trainer. Standing right next to Mumme, ready to come back in. 3rd and 16. And movement by the freshman tackle Antonio Hall this time.
Antonio Hall has improved his performance this week over a week ago. He's had his problems in pass protection, but he's also had some long stretches when he did a good job.
Further snap, false start, movement, offensive line, 5-yard penalty, repeat 3rd down.
Yeah, when you're a freshman, you think maybe if I move just a little bit and stop, nobody will notice me. I have to stop right here. Maybe they won't see it. Well, Antonio will get it. He's going to be a great one. Comes from football country up there around you guys, Michael, Canton, Ohio.
Well, they have in store on 3rd and 21. Swing past Penner, and that's where it ends. He loses his footing at the 35.
They have effectively taken themselves out of normal field goal range. Now it would be over a 50-yard field goal.
Yeah, and I know that Coach Mumme has a reputation for going for it on 4th down. This is the time he needs to punt the football. He needs to get field position. He does not need to give it up to South Carolina out here on the 35-yard line.
Well, if he's going to go for it.
See, it's 4th and 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I agree with you.
This is not a good decision.
Yeah, you got to play field position here and try and pin him in. I absolutely agree with you.
4th and 6, yeah, go for it. Not 4th and 30.
10 out of 12 this year going for it on 4th down, Kentucky. They need a mile here, and that one is almost intercepted by Anquan Neesmith. And who got a hand on it first? Sheldon Brown, who already has 2 picks. 13:04 remaining. Big stop by the Gamecock defense. Second straight week, and tonight South Carolina going for its first road victory since October 18th, 1997, when they won at Arkansas 39-13. Long way to go here, but they take over, and toss to Watson, who's cut down for a loss by Matt Leo. We send you to Reese Davis.
All right, Dave, Tennessee and Georgia, Vols trying to save themselves. 4th and 14, under a minute and a half to go. A.J. Suggs picked off by Tim Wansley with the 11-point lead. This is going to do it. It's been so long since the Dogs have beaten Tennessee, the fans got a little bit, let's say, over-anxious. $1:13 left on the clock. They're trying to tear down the goalpost. They got him out of there, and it's over now.
Well, they saw that from the other perspective a few weeks ago in Columbia. That win for South Carolina looking better as the season continues. Intended for Watson, batted down.
Now, we've just seen 2 very good defensive plays by Kentucky that should have been taking place inside the 20-yard line. Hal Mumme should not have gone for that on 4th down. Should have punted the kick in for field position. Bill, I know you've talked about that a lot. So those 2 plays, instead of being made on the 35 end and the 30-yard line, could have been made on the 15-yard line, possibly the 10-yard line in that game of field position.
Well, you're exactly right, but he said when his defense has its back to the wall, that's when it usually plays the best. So maybe that's what they'll do here.
Well protected. Ready throws short, intended for Spikes.
And to go back to your line of reasoning, Mike, if they were down there on the 7-yard line or the 14, they'd be getting fantastic field position, which they may not get from this spot. Just one of those times when you and I both say we're just sick of being right all the time.
Yeah, it gets tiring to be right all the time. I don't.
I wouldn't know how to.
I almost want to be wrong once just to see what it feels like.
I'll let you know.
All right. It does get tiring from over here. Jeans punt, they're caught, and they're looking for the halo violation. Is Shanklin? He's not going to get it. No flag. 35-yard kick. 12:02 remaining, and a 20-17 Gamecock lead. 20-17 South Carolina. 12:02 remaining. The Wildcats take over at their 35-yard line. Each team separated by 5 total yards. 326, 321. Kentucky with the slight edge. A jump ball, and pulling it down is Derek Smith with 2 markers down.
You know, the first one is offside. You got him on the hard count again. The second one is going to be offense or defense. Turned out to be like a jump ball for a rebound.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at Derek Smith, and the guy's 6'6". And I'm thinking, if I'm going to throw the fade in the end zone or a throw like that anytime, this is my guy.
Yep.
Good grief. What a player.
Especially up against 5'10" Andre Goodman. Quiet night for Smith. Just the second catch if it stands.
We have 2 fouls on the defense. First one was offside. The second one is defensive pass interference. The offense will accept that penalty. Be a 15-yard automatic first down.
I'll tell you what, Mike, I'll take it another step. I would throw it to him about 10 times a game, just like this. Watch this big guy concentrate. He's got the focus of a magnifying glass.
Boy, I tell you what.
That's so hard.
Yeah, I understand the offensive side, but I certainly didn't see any interference there on the defensive side. I think Kentucky caught a break there. They would have had an offside penalty anyway, but I think they caught a break with that interference.
Defensive coaches for the Wildcats after practice before the season come to this Monday and say that's the best athlete on this team. Derek Smith shows you why there. Dangerous throw back across the field. Lucky that wasn't the 3rd interception tonight for Sheldon Brown.
And we've been talking about Lou Holtz and his lectures. This will be a Hal Mummy lecture. Don't ever do this. Don't ever do this. This is an easy interception for a touchdown.
That one intended for Derek Abney, and Sheldon Brown's eyes had to get enormous seeing that one float his direction. So 2nd and 10, and they'll snap it from midfield. Gamecock showing blitz. Inside give and whistles. As Chad Scott
Penalty marker down on the play.
is down with flags also down.
Starting snap, false start. Movement in the offensive line. 5-yard penalty, repeat, 2nd down.
And we go down to Michelle.
Well, you guys, Hal Mummy finally turned from calm to fiery before his offense retook the field. On the sideline, he got after them. He said, who needs this game more? They're not stopping us. We are stopping ourselves. Let's get back out there, go make plays, and let's win this darned football game. And I'm paraphrasing, guys.
Point made. Now Lorenzen having to step up and scramble. Another throw back to the middle. Scott is wiped out as soon as he makes the catch. Rashad Faison is upon him.
Oh, what a great job by Lorenzen getting free. And again, he's not looking to escape to run. He doesn't really want to ramble down the field. He'll run, draw the blockers, and look for his man again.
Yeah, but if he doesn't stop doing what he's doing, stopping and throwing back across his body, one of those is going to go the other way, and it won't be long.
Good job escaping. He almost pulled it down, and you're right, going across the field. He's one of those very confident quarterbacks that says, I can make the play. You take the good with the bad with him.
Yeah, but Coach Mummy will stop him from doing that.
There's been some of both from him tonight, good and bad. 3rd and 7. Pump fake. Sideline pattern incomplete, and looking for a flag is Dougie Allen. He won't get one. Kevin House had the coverage.
This is the area where they would normally go for it on 4th down in their territory with about 4th and 8, but this time they're going to punt it.
Well, I just think this is really smart with the score this close and the defense playing well. And that's one of the things Hal says. When the defense is playing real well, then we're more likely to go for it, but that works the other way too. You pin them down close and stop them, then you get the ball back at midfield with 1st down.
Seth Hansen, the first Wildcat to handle the kicking and punting in 43 years. Lou Michaels, is that name ring?
That's my old teammate, Lulu.
of Fame with the Baltimore Colts. Hansen hangs this one up. And Ryan Brewer lets it bounce, and it is dead inside the 5-yard line. Getting down there to down it on the special teams. Pat Kentucky, but wintry conditions. Windy temperatures in the 30s. 10:37 to go. South Carolina by 3 as they take over at their own 6-yard line. And they line up in the I behind Petty. Eric Watson breaking another long one. He already has a 58-yard touchdown. And this one ends up a gain of 24, and they're out from the shadow of their own goal.
Now, Big Mike, you and I talk a lot of trash, but this has become a Southeastern Conference rock'em sock'em football game. Knockdown, drag out. I mean, these guys are getting after each other.
And Watson flat on his back.
Now watch these guys come off the ball. Boom, boom. Up front, fullback lead block. Exploding down the sideline. Hustling in pursuit. I'm talking both teams now.
Trying to see what happened to Watson there when he fell. If he got rolled up on something when he fell, but
he looks like he's okay.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a lot of bruises. There'll be a lot of folks in the whirlpool tomorrow. That's what SEC football's all about.
Gotta love when it gets like this. Just beat your man in front of you. Mano a mano.
So for now, Watson out, Ryan Brewer in. A pattern, Brian Scott. One-handed catch as he is being interfered with. And on a career night for Brian Scott, that tops them all. Mercy. 23 yards. Derek Tatum hanging all over him.
Wow, what a reception one-handed. Another great, accurate pass.
Pass interference against the defense. Pass was complete. It'll be declined.
It's just sure making Coach Holtz look smart. We said, Coach, who's the guy that's really coming through for you? He said, Brian Scott, number 82, is just making play after play in practice. This has got to be his Hall of Famer.
Boy, what a fantastic catch. Getting the left hand outside. We talked about the drop tonight. He just kind of bounced that one back up in the air and then caught it. Nice soft one-hander.
And a perfect throw.
Yep.
We talk about that fade route, and that was the equivalent of a fade throw. It was over his outside shoulder. If anybody was going to catch it, it would be him, not the defender.
You will not see a better catch all year. To the 43 of Kentucky. Watson was out only one play and back to work. And he spins down to the 35. Lou Holtz had said this week that his offensive line had to not just play well, they had to dominate the Kentucky defensive line, keep the ball away from the Kentucky offense. And a lot of times we talk about how time of possession doesn't really matter that much. That's not how Lou Holtz approached this game. And tonight, it has not worked out the way he hoped because they're down about 10.5 minutes.
That's right. It means a lot when you're facing this Kentucky offense, and it looks like his big guys on offense are beginning to understand and to try to take it over.
We grind out another 3-4 minutes on this drive. He'll feel much better on the topic. First, Petty will have to call their first timeout. So the Gamecocks pulling big plays out of thin air to add to 20-17. Tonight's storyline is presented by NCI WorldCom. Kentucky 13 more plays, huge advantage time of possession, especially in the second half. Lorenzen 28 of 42, 231. Brown 2 interceptions, has broken up 2 more. And what a drive we're seeing unfold right here for the Gamecocks. Big play after big play has them at the 36 of the Wildcats. 9:16 to go. Watson called on again and again as a first down to the 31 of Kentucky.
That was just a great job by the left guard Cedric Williams, number 76, referring one more time to the big guys up front, challenged by their coach this week with an unusual thing. He said, I want you guys to take over. Big Cedric pulls to his right here, turns it up inside. Boom, right there on the middle. Linebacker White knocks him back, first down.
Derek Watson not fumbling anything now. First half, he couldn't hang on to anything. Up the middle. Moves the pile about 5 yards. You know that Pujols raised a lot of eyebrows early in the year when he said Derek Watson potentially could be better than Ricky Watters or Jerome Bettis, the best backs Holtz had in Notre Dame.
Mike Golick asked him that question in his office, Mike. You remember that?
Yep.
And he really looked at, he looked you right in the eye and said, he will be a great player, and he will do it this year, or he'll be sweeping the stadium.
And that's the key thing. He said if he wants to be. He said it's up to that young man right there if he wants to be that good.
Clock rolling. 5th play of the drive. Inside the 8-minute mark now. Big hole Watson. Inside the 20. Another Gamecock first down.
Yep, and number 68, Travell Wharton, back to Cedric Williams. Scott Brown, the center, continue to be real men. This whole side of the line up here doing an excellent job of moving their feet, staying in contact. Look here, all the blue shirts are occupied. All 3 of those players taking their men and opening a gaping hole, and then with his quickness and agility, Watson adds yardage to it.
153 yards. Far from done, other than 7 per carry. Watson again breaks a tackle from Otis Grigsby. Almost had it nailed for a loss. Dwayne Robertson finally chases him down.
You know, we saw that storyline, and the one thing that we didn't see as far as the second half, it's 7-0 South Carolina in the second half. And in the second half this year, South Carolina's outscored 65-27 their opponents. So they're certainly more of a second half team than a first half team. And they're certainly showing it with this drive that started at their own 5-yard line.
Yeah, they've given up a total of 10 points in the 4th quarter this year on the season.
Little limp by Watson as he heads out, replaced by Andrew Pinnock. Fake to Pinnock. Petty overthrows Jermel Kelly. I tell you who's frustrated. Corey Alexander was 5 yards in the clear in the end zone.
Tough throw for Petty, though, coming left again. He's coming against the grain. He had to figure that play was coming. They ran that shotgun handoff 2 times in a row now, trying to set him up. Big play here. Kentucky's got to hold him to at least, at the most, a field goal attempt.
And Watson's still out, Pinnock still in. Another terrific night for the junior from Boiling Springs, South Carolina, Phil Petty. Battling a bad ankle. Well protected. Time to roll and look. And now fire to the back of the end zone and out of play.
And whereas a week ago he was forcing things at Alabama, this week he had all the reps in practice, had his wits about him, and got rid of the football to preserve his opportunity to kick a field goal, or that of his team.
And now Reed Bethea, if he hits, and force Kentucky to look for a touchdown. Career high 49-yarder last week. Also missed from 21 and 28. 38 yards here. Devin Sides with the hold. And a sideways wobbler, never had a chance. Just didn't strike that one well at all.
And he was striking him just like that in the pregame. And even the ones he made earlier, he did not hit well. They were not perfect end over end. This is a wobbly kick because what Bethea is doing is the same thing he did a week ago, coming across the ball as opposed to swinging directly through it. It just doesn't feel good. The ball is not rolling end over end. It has an odd trajectory which carries it outside the goalpost. It's a technique issue that he'll have to resolve, or Coach Blue's going to find another kicker.
Now, after the shoulders of the South Carolina defense, 6:23 for the Kentucky offense to work with. They start with a give to Chad Scott. Cut down for a loss at the 19 by Rashad Faison. And let's go down to Michelle Tafoya.
Well, guys, on the South Carolina sideline, defensive coordinator Charlie Strong was imploring his linemen to put pressure on Jared Lorenzen. He said, do we have a sack yet? Their quarterback weighs 300 pounds, and he's running faster than any of you. Let's get in there and try to bring this guy down. Dave?
They have 1 sack, but they hope for a lot more than that. They have only 1 in their last 3 games coming into this one. They need some more pressure. 2nd and 12. Out pattern, Derek Abney. And he gets out of bounds, driven there by Willie Offord.
Well, as a matter of strategic planning, Charlie Strong is a wonderful football coach, but if he really wants pressure, he better rush more than 3, don't you think, Mike?
Now, marker thrown at the end of that catch over on the sideline where Abney was driven out. We'll see if this is a late hit.
Face mask, 5 yards against the defense. Go at the end of the run. It will be a first down.
You know, Michelle talked about the sacks, and last year, this is an offense that was sacked 52 times, but only 9 so far this year. So Charlie Strong wants his guys to sack Jared Lorenzen, but you know what? He doesn't get sacked a lot. A, no one's on him, and B, he's tough to bring down.
He is tough, but I mean, you were a D lineman rushing with 3 against 5 blockers. Isn't that frustrating?
Very. That's doing a much better job this year of protecting the quarterback. Incomplete. Intended for Kendrick Shanklin.
Were you upset like Charlie Brown because they never had to double team you?
Well, you know what? It does get frustrating with a 3-man rush. And you're right, some of the lines I played on, the other guys got the double teams. I got the one-on-one block. But when you're just rushing 3, 2 of the guys are getting double teamed, and it is very frustrating. Occasionally, Charlie Strong may have to send somebody to try and get in his face, but he does a great job of shrugging it off or just scooting sideways. Look at knocked down 1 time.
You just ignored my insult.
I did. Not talking to you anymore.
Officially no sacks. Derek Homer carries. Senior from Fort Knox has not seen much action tonight.
But seriously, Mike, did they double Reggie White more than they did you?
Just a couple of times more, yeah. I mean, I got fortunate to play with Reggie and the late Sam Brown and Clyde Simmons, and they certainly double-team those guys a lot more than me. It's very frustrating, but when you double-team and you got to just try and get in the quarterback's face and knock it down.
Yeah, you guys were a great front 4. I remember you.
Big 3rd and 7. Under 5 minutes. Caught immediately hit is Allen at the 41, and he is short by a couple of the first down marker. Kevin House timed the hit perfectly.
What do you do here? They've used the 40-yard line at times, their own 40. If they're past it, they'll go for it on 4th down, and it looks like they're doing the same thing right now. They got a lot of guts, Phil. They do this an awful lot.
Yeah, but see, Coach Bundy, his guys believe in
Absolutely.
this. I think this is wise in the context of their offense and their thinking. But they better make it.
Gotta get 2. Play clock at 5. They throw the snap under center and sneak it, and he did not get it. That's how they scored their first touchdown, and Lorenzen went in from 2 yards untouched way back in the first quarter. Maybe when he comes up under center, it tips the Gamecock front line off just enough that they react quicker, and they're going to unpile it and measure it, but it looks like at least the length of the ball is short.
He missed it by 8 inches.
It just looks like if he had kept his head up and kept his feet moving, he's so powerful.
You know, he needs to
doesn't duck his head, and he actually runs into
his guard.
Yeah, because I don't think Josh understood what he was. I don't think Josh Parrish knew that he was sneaking, because they ran into each other.
There you go, 8 inches. All right, 3 inches.
And Hal Mumme now has to turn and put it on the shoulders of his defense. Can they get it back in the final 3:57?
Mike, you've got marvelous eyes. Those laser beam eyes of yours, you figured that out.
ESPN Sunday Night Football tomorrow at 8:30 Eastern. Big game atmosphere in the AFC Central. Jimmy Smith and the Jacksonville Jaguars looking for revenge. They host Tony Banks and the Baltimore Ravens. And our coverage begins at 7:30 with NFL Prime Time. Under the 4-minute mark, South Carolina takes over with a 3-point lead at the 42 of the Wildcats. Both teams 2 timeouts remaining. And Derek Watson back in and plowed under. He will lose a couple and the clock will roll.
This is not the time, Bill, to run 3 times straight up the middle. South Carolina's got to try and control the clock a little bit and get a first down. I never understood when an offense works throughout the night and then you get in this position and you just run it up the middle. I really hope they're going to start opening up still a little bit.
But one of the things that you teach your team in this kind of situation is you've got to be able to run the ball when everybody in the stadium knows you're going to run it. They were not successful there. Good job by Kentucky's D.
Petty swings it out for Brewer. Hit at the line of scrimmage. It will be 3rd and 13. We check in with Reese Davis.
Dave, Oregon State snapped that long losing streak to SC last week. Now trying to break a losing streak against Washington. Haven't beaten the Huskies since '85. Jonathan Smith finding Robert Prescott, 48 yards, and the Beavers on top by a touch.
How about Oregon State and Oregon both ranked this week? First time in decades. 3rd and 13. Petty chase. And they got a room and throws it away. Well beyond the tackles. Not intentional grounding. Matt Leo was chasing Petty, and 2.5 minutes remaining, and the Wildcat defense does in fact force a 3-and-out.
Smart play by Petty, getting out of the pocket and then throwing it away.
Yeah, I really was wondering if he was going to get rid of the ball. Matt Leo right in his face. Leo's had another outstanding performance here tonight. He's played well all year.
Been waiting at the 10. Deep pick by Tyler Dean. And a little bit of a game clock roll and dead at the 12. So they are 88 yards away, and they had 2 timeouts. And they had 2 minutes and 18 seconds to work with. And so you can't ask for much more. This Kentucky offense built for quick strikes. And if they don't do one here, they are 2-4, and they are 0-3 in the SEC.
Yeah, but this is SEC football. Even though it's not the old traditional ground game with field position, it's still a 3-point edge with 2 minutes to go.
And a great job by South Carolina. 2 interceptions on Jared Lorenzo tonight, who leads the SEC in passing, but also leads in interceptions as well. And South Carolina's taking advantage of that.
Out of the gun on first down. Brings it out to Scott. Breaks 1 tackle. And about an extra 4 and 5 yards. He gets out of Neesmith's grasp. And finally caught at the 20-yard line. And the clock continues to roll under 2 minutes.
And this is the time in the game when all the players are up on the sideline and the get-back coach has to get to work. Our cameraman, John Schutz, has got to find the get-back to keep them back. Don't let everybody get out on the field and get in the way.
Homer. And enough for the first down to stop the clock at 1:39.
They've got time. They stopped the clock on the first down. They still got a couple of timeouts left. They don't have to get greedy just yet. They can use all the field still.
Go ahead, Mike.
South Carolina got to try and come up with that one more big defensive play. Can Sheldon Brown get another one?
That's right. Can they get a sack? Can they get another pick?
Lorenzen rolling on the run. Abney makes a great adjustment to the 46 of Carolina. 27 yards. Just backyard football.
Yeah, but it's also wonderful presence by a redshirt freshman quarterback who keeps his feet moving. Got a nice assist from number 71, Josh Harris. He bumped off the late rush by Wadley. Found his man. As you say, Abney made a great adjustment.
To get to Seth Hansen's career long range, they got to get to the 25-yard line. 42 yards, his career best. Lorenzen, mindful of the line of scrimmage, throws a little face mask at Andre Goodman, and out of bounds with 1:04.
Yeah, even though he was running out of bounds, he had a chance to get a nice shot in there, Mike. He took Goodman and just twisted his head around like, don't mess with me, little fella.
That was a great stiff arm. And he looked, he was waving. He wanted Chad Scott, who is limping badly now, going back into the huddle. He wanted him to break down the field again, but I don't think Chad Scott could do it. He's really limping out there.
May come down to whether Scott can make the open field plays he's been making all night. 2nd and 11. Lorenzen throwing for Homer and incomplete under a minute.
Coming into this game, Dave, I really thought that the offensive line for Kentucky would struggle with the stunts and the blitzes of South Carolina. But all in all, the protection's been good.
Well, they just had a wholesale change for South Carolina on the defensive line. All fresh bodies in there. They watered the horses on the sideline. They brought them back in to try and get some pressure on Jared this time. Now, will they come after him? Or will they just let the D-line rush? Or do you take the chance and you blitz him? Really hasn't worked tonight.
20 overall, but game's decided by a touchdown or less. 5 and 7 for Mummy. 59 seconds. 3rd and 11. And Lorenzen firing over the middle, and it is deflected and caught by Abney. Through his hands, off Sheldon Brown, back into Abney's hands.
And of such stuff is legend made. I'm telling you, that's the stuff that turns you into a legend in your own time.
5 more yards. They're in Hansen's field goal range. Watch this.
It is a bullet. Boom! Right in the chest. Had to use the Karam method.
Inside gives Scott. Maybe a yard. 2 timeouts remaining, and they will use the first here with 37 seconds. This one will head right down to the nub in Lexington tonight. 37 seconds. Wildcats have 1 more timeout. And they have 2nd and 9, just inside the Carolina 30. Lorenzen sacked right when he could not afford to take a sack, and they'll have to call that last timeout as Kalimba Edwards crashes in on the 290-pound Lorenzen.
Kalimba Edwards is the guy that was chosen to take on Antonio Hall, the vulnerable true freshman offensive tackle. And here he comes, runs slap over this guy right here and straight to the QB. Kalimba Edwards, marvelous athlete. Look at the power. Straight into about 600 pounds of Kentucky Wildcat and dragged it all to the ground.
You know, and we've
look at those arms.
We've seen that rush tonight. We've seen him get pressured. We've seen him step out of it. And it's a great job by Edwards getting in his face. But, Bill, in that situation, you know you can't take a sack. Is this where Lorenzen, the quarterback, as a redshirt freshman, you still make some mistakes? Got to try and slide, get rid of that ball.
Oh, I think so, but I also think that he got there so fast that it was the shot. I think he had him in his grasp before Jared could ever figure out what was going on.
I was actually surprised he didn't get out of the way on that one because Edwards ended up coming right up into his face. Yeah. But great job by Edwards, who's a fantastic athlete. And that's what you're looking for. You can be down the whole game and have that. We barely called Edwards' name tonight. But you know what? It turned out to be the biggest play of the game right there.
Well, I think it was. Certainly up to this point.
Out of timeouts, 29 seconds, 3rd and 21. Lorenzen looking deep, fires the sideline pattern, and it is incomplete. Intended for Quentin McCord, 22 seconds.
And what a rope he threw. This is a frozen rope. And if McCord could have hung on, it was just a little bit low. If Quentin McCord could have hemmed that thing up, it would have been a monster play.
Well, you're looking at a 57-yard field goal try.
I didn't think they're not going to try it either.
Wing would be at their back, but the longest ever for Hansen's 42. He's going to stay put, and Carolina will call its next to last timeout. Now, Seth Hansen has not missed a kick all year. So they haven't had him trying 57-yarders.
No, the last guy that did stuff like that was Doug Pelfrey, who played for us here. He made 5 over 50, and a couple of times in a situation like this, I'd say, Doug, it's 54. Can you do? Oh, sure, Coach. It'd go right through the middle of the uprights. Of course, that's why he's still kicking, too, well, 10 years later.
This is what pregame is all about, is you find out your place kicker's range in pregame, and they obviously feel 57 yards is out of his range.
Not been a good day for kickers. Another wide right ending the Florida State win streak. This field goal's game before us. It ended up in overtime. Syracuse and Pitt. And 20-17 game, and the balance here with 22 seconds to go.
And understand, thinking ahead, if they do get the first down, remember they have to because it's fourth down. The clock will stop until they get the chain set. They're out of timeout, so they're going to have to get to the line of scrimmage and either kill the clock or get another play off to reset themselves.
Yeah, they'll have to spike the ball.
Yep.
They'll have to fly to the football, and that's what they were just covering during the timeout, I'm sure. This is going to have to, and the thing about this offense is you can hit a 25-yarder most any time.
They've got to get to the 21. The last gasp time for the Wildcats. Lorenzen fires it over the middle, almost intercepted by Neesmith, and that is going to do it for South Carolina. They will get their first road win in almost 3 years. And a magical season continues for the Gamecocks.
Had to come up with a big play, that defense. They've been carrying them a lot this year, and they certainly did. Forced Lorenzen to roll right as a left-handed quarterback, had to reset himself, and then just heaved it up there in desperation.
And who was it? It was Kalimba one more time. Big number 55 for the Gamecocks, put on the rush to force the quarterback out of the pocket.
Kentucky falls to 2-4, 0-3 in the conference, and Lou Holtz has maybe the best story going in college football this year. The Gamecocks, winless a year ago, now 5-1 and 3-1, tied for first in the SEC East, maybe the toughest division in college football. Again, our final score in Lexington, South Carolina 20, Kentucky 17. Coming up next, the NFL Tonight here on ESPN2. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, your home for college football on the internet. Now for Bill Curry, Mike Golick, and Michelle Tafoya. Dave Barnett saying so long from Lexington, Kentucky, where the Gamecocks pull off another surprise, 20-17. Another night of big plays. Brian Scott, Sheldon Brown, Derek Watson among the heroes for South Carolina. 5-1 now.